Hello everybody, Steven here. Amidst building my 75-gallon tank, because I still have no idea what I'm going to be doing with it, I thought I would go ahead and show my 55-gallon community tank that I have set up. I want to show you guys some of the fish I've got in there, and also talk about the equipment and the live plants that I've got. If you hear any sounds in the background, it's probably the dogs. They're tiptoeing around and making all kinds of noise, so please don't mind that. The tank's about a year and a half old. My old tank actually sprung a leak on me, so that was a long story behind that one, and my wife wasn't too happy, so there's that. But the actual substrate in the rock that you see in here is probably about 30 years old, which is incredible. We've had this ever since I was a kid, and I was fortunate enough to be able to get the rocks passed down to me, so I've got all that set up for my tank now. And if there's anything that you guys want to learn more about, just feel free to comment below, and I'll try and do a video on that and talk about it some more. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. Alright everybody, this is the tank here. We're going to get into it. I guess we could start with the live plants. As you can see, some are doing really good, some are not doing so hot. So all of this grass-like stuff that's really tall, I actually just trimmed it today. You can kind of see how some of the oxygen is escaping the top where I cut it. It grows very fast. That's Vallisneria, and it actually sends runners under the substrate and will pop up. So all of this right here is probably connected to each other still, and you can easily just clip off one of the new shoots and propagate it somewhere else, and that's kind of how you can spread it throughout the tank, rather than having it kind of spread itself. Sorry about the glare over there with the lamp. It is what it is. I'm still learning how to do all this stuff. So all of these little withering plants that are not doing so hot, this is called Scarlet Temple. Now I'm still trying to figure out what's going on with my Scarlet Temple. As you can see, there's quite a bit of algae build up on that. If this will focus, let's see if it'll actually focus on it. Yeah, there it goes. So did have a lot of problems with algae bloom and algae growth initially, but I think I've got a lot of that under control. And as you can see, there's some new Scarlet Temple coming out the bottom, and I'm hoping that over time this will kind of correct itself and start to do a little bit better. Right in front of that here is some Bacopa caroliniana. It's a hard name to say, I don't know why. But I actually had some problems with this when I first got it, and it wasn't doing so hot, but now it's finally starting to come in pretty well. And you can see I have another one there, and also I have another one on this side that is really tall. I'm wanting to kind of spread that around a little bit more and rescape this so it kind of looks a little bit better. So here you can see I have a Anubias that is kind of glued to the top of this rock here. Now Anubias does best if it's not planted under substrate, and what that means is you just attach it to something not underneath the substrate that you have, which is all of this layer of rock on the very bottom, all these pebbles. And it does just fine that way. All of those leaves grow off of this little, I don't know what it's called, but it's like a little stem that kind of lays along the rock there. So that's kind of how you want to plant those, is you actually just kind of attach it to something. Yeah. I also have a Anubias nana petite over here attached to this tiny little log that I have, and that's what this guy is. To the right of that, you can see there's a little moss ball. Extremely easy to take care of. You basically don't have to do anything with it. It's recommended though that you just kind of roll it around every time you do a water change, this so the whole underside doesn't die, and it also gets some of the light and stuff as well. So over here, as you can see, I have a crypt, and I really enjoy this plant. It's starting to fill out really well. Yeah, I mean, it just looks great. I really like it. Behind that, I have an Amazon sword, which is starting to come in. And I also have, I think this is called an Amazon flame sword. I don't know exactly, but it's back here. It might be getting cut off a little bit from all this vallicin area, so I might have to kind of rescape that soon, just so I can get that coming in. So I've got some little grasses in here as well. This is I think this is a dwarf Sagittaria. Not 100% sure on that, and I also have some smaller grasses, which I would like for those to start taking off and kind of do a small carpet on this side of the tank. I think that would be really cool. I got some over here as well. Now, like I mentioned before, when I first converted to 100% live plants, that was probably about 4 months ago. And if I can figure it out, I'll try and attach a picture of kind of what it looked like before I did all live plants, and then also when I first planted the plants, and from then until now, and you can kind of see like what I was dealing with and kind of how well everything took off. But I did have a very large algae problem, and also some black hair algae specifically. So, and that's kind of what attacked all of these scarlet temple that I have, and they're starting to recover a little bit from that. But what I had to do was try and figure out a way to take care of all of my algae problem. And that's kind of where this guy came into play. This is a Siamese algae eater, not to be confused with the Chinese algae eater or the flying fox. All three of those look very similar, but they cannot be more different from each other as far as personality goes and everything. So the Siamese algae eater actually eats the black hair algae, and will grow to, I think, around 6 inches or so. So you got to plan ahead and make sure that you have plenty of space in your tank. But this is an extremely peaceful fish, great for community tanks, doesn't pick on anyone, especially like the small tetras and stuff. It's a wonderful fish, and it actually eats the black hair algae, which is crucial. Now, the other fish that really looks similar to this is a flying fox, and it also will eat the black hair algae as a juvenile, but once it grows up, I think the palate changes a little bit for that fish, and it doesn't quite feed on it anymore. And I think it's also a little bit more aggressive, and you can tell the flying fox because it has I think red tips on its fins, and as you can see here with the Siamese algae eater, that black line on it actually extends all the way to the very end of its tail. It extends all the way to the end of its tail, and that is a sure indication that it's a Siamese algae eater. Now the Chinese algae eater is quite different. It has some other markings and stuff on it, but and also that fish can be very aggressive and territorial, so I would just be very cautious when you're looking at those in the store to make sure that you get the right one. So here I've got a little school of neon tetras. I really like neon tetras. They look beautiful, especially with all the green in the background. I think they pop really well. I've got some bigger ones there, which I've had for a while, and I've slowly been adding on to their little school with these guys. These are my newest addition to them. It's I don't know if that's focusing very well, but really small neons there. Hopefully they'll grow out here soon, so that way you know, they school pretty well, and I think they look great in this tank. Over here is a fish that I never really knew about until this year, and it's called a peacock gudgeon. Absolutely gorgeous fish. I've got 2 of them. If I can get one to come out a little bit, hopefully you can kind of see the markings on it. Yeah, there it is. Well, nope. Sorry, I just ran something over my chair. Yeah, here's the peacock gudgeon. That'll focus, please. These are really good for nano tanks, and I wouldn't put them in anything lower than a 5-gallon tank, just because I always feel bad when fish are in small tanks. I like for them to have plenty of room to swim around, but they really enjoy hiding places, so you want to make sure you have a lot of places for them to hide. But again, it's an absolutely beautiful fish. I've also got some guppies in here. So I just have a lot of assorted guppies. Nothing in particular. It's a whole lot of kind of everything really in there. And I also have some Endler guppies, which are these smaller ones with the black pattern on them. If I can get this to focus, yeah, those guys look really cool. And I just picked some more up the other day too. So I have had some little baby guppies in here, and hopefully we'll have a lot more. So I've got a couple tetras swimming around, which is what this guy is right there, really fast. Try not to make you guys sick, as well as these blue ones as well. And when I got all these live plants, I also decided to try and add some shrimp in here. I'm sure you've seen them all over the place, these little red dots. Those are red cherry shrimp. And also I've got some amano shrimp, which are great for taking care of some of the algae as well. So I actually, believe it or not, started with 10 cherry shrimp and 10 amano shrimp, and as you can see, my cherry shrimp are doing amazing. I have probably a couple hundred in here if you're counting all the little babies and stuff. But there's a cherry shrimp up close. Do you see that little dark spot behind the head? That's actually an indication that it's a female. Those are eggs, and as the eggs develop, they'll travel down the body, and you'll actually see them underneath their little legs in the back. But if you look inside of this moss, you can see tons of them. Every little dot is actually a red cherry shrimp in there. I've got them all through the back of my plants here. On my filter here, they're just feeding on all the little bacteria and stuff that's on the filter. There's gorgeous shrimp. They look wonderful. They have really good color to them. Here's one up close. Let me see if I can get a nice... If this thing actually focuses. Which I don't think it will, but... yeah, here it is. Fun little shrimp to have. I enjoy watching them swim around. They look really pretty next to all the green as well. Let me see if I can get one of the amano shrimp. So there's an amano back there. These guys get a lot bigger, but they are very good at eating algae and taking care of some of the algae problems. So that's actually one of the reasons I got them in the first place. So that guy's right there feeding on some algae. I also have a Plecostomus, which you can't really see very well. He has a hiding spot back there behind everything, and I don't know if I can zoom in enough to get him. But that's a clown Plecostomus. They don't get very big, which is kind of the reason I got him. I think they only get maybe 4 to 5 inches, I want to say. So they stay relatively small. Nothing like the common Plecostomus. Sorry, yeah, I don't think I'll be able to get very good of a picture of him, but he hides back behind there. That's kind of his favorite spot. I also have 2 zebra loaches, which, let me see if I can zoom in on this guy. Back here. These guys are little Houdinis. I actually thought they died a long time ago because I hadn't seen them in like 3 months, and then all of a sudden they came out. And what I found is they're actually living inside of the ship. Up underneath are a bunch of really small holes that they just wedge themselves in, and they love it in there. So really glad to have those. I'm glad they're still here. But I did learn a valuable lesson. Zebra loaches like crustaceans, so they also enjoy snails. So that's another problem I have. I have some nerite snails that I just have to be really careful with to make sure that they all get along really well. Let's see. It looks like he's kind of showing off a little bit. Let me see if I can get him. There he is. Yep, there's the zebra loach. The other one's around somewhere. Really cool fish. This video is probably going to be pretty long, and I apologize for that. I just get really excited when I look at all these fish in here. It's really fun tank. I enjoy the community tank here. So I'll probably check back in whenever a few months go by and see or show you guys the progress that I have with all my plants. If I figure out how to do it, I'll try and post the pictures of the before and after as well, so you guys can see kind of the progress on where everything's going. But thanks for tuning in, and hope you guys enjoyed this video.